Mediocre Disc Golf Podcast, an average podcast for the average disc golfer. As always, I'm Evan Amstutz, joined by Kim Hatcher. We're happy you could join us. Kim, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Just living the dream. I'm really pumped for Worlds, and I'm just trying to get, like I said on the last episode, just trying to get mentally ready. So Josh and I are trying to come up with different courses that might be good practicing, but also we just go to courses that we haven't gone very often to and going to play those to try to get the practice of courses that we may not seen, because we're not going to have a ton of practice time on the Worlds courses. So I think that's what we're trying to look at. And it's Northwood Blue I'm playing. He's playing Northwood Black. So more wooded type courses, not as much open. So
yeah, and he has the advantage there. There's a ton of documentation. There's a ton of video of Northwood Black and all that sort of stuff. So he can go do like film study. It makes playing blind somewhat easier, but it's still not the easiest. But there's not a lot on Northwood Blue, if I'm mistaken.
no, we found some coverage back in, I think it was 2019, of the last time the ladies played Northwood Blue. I think the ladies still play Northwood Black. So
they play from shorter tees in Northwood Black during Ledgestone, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds right. So it's a little different for me. Josh is able to look at the videos and footage and kind of see where he's playing. So we're just trying to go in with good mindsets. Honestly, that's just half. It's more than half. I feel like it's like 80% of disc golf is just the mental game.
Yeah, definitely focus on like shots that you throw at your home courses.
Yes.
And try to like visualize that of, oh, this is hole 5 at Reed Canal Safari or something like that.
100%. 100%. I'm excited. I'm really excited. I'm just trying to not I'm trying not to do that too high or too low. I'm just trying to keep it middle. But how have you been? How was your weekend?
It was good. I got to play around with the new AGL Acacia, which is the new putter. We talked about it a little bit on the last episode. I got mine in, and
is it nice?
It's very nice.
Oh, it's nice.
It's the stability that I like out of a putter, kind of like my Madrone, of a little bit of bite at the end of a like 40-foot putt, but you can just trust it. But it just hangs in the air for that extra bit longer.
Oh,
so
glidey.
So the 45 footers, I don't feel like I have to like putt it hard to get it there. I can just putt it normal, aim it a link or two higher, and it just holds. Like my Madrone normally drops. I aim it near the band and it drops out of the sky at the last second and right into the bucket. I abandoned my first couple because it was holding for so long.
Yeah.
But once I made that adjustment, I was making them from everywhere I shot. I think it's a personal record out at Four Palms this morning, 13 down from the white pads.
So white is like the medium, right?
It's the medium, yeah.
Okay, that's still pretty freaking good.
Yeah, that was more than 50% birdie. So that's the first time I've done that. I was pretty happy. It was also windy, and
it's Four Palms. I feel like that's a given. I feel like if you were fair. We went to Four Palms and it wasn't windy, everybody would like, what? What? Are you okay?
In one of my group chats, we have a word effect because it's a Facebook messages group. And if you type in Four Palms or 4P, a bunch of tornadoes, the tornado emoji flies around because everyone's so
but it's true.
It's bad. But it's also great because when you play it without any wind, you just go to town.
Yeah. What's it called? Are you going to switch over to the putter? The Acacia?
I ordered a couple more because this is one that Josh sent me just to try out. I'm ordering a couple more. I'm going to see how it is like full bag, because I definitely was jumping between the Madrone and the Acacia just to kind of figure out the two.
Yeah, I've done that before.
I don't want to switch, mostly because I have a huge stack of Madrones and I don't know what I'd do with them. Any AGL fan out there that wants a stack of Madrones, if I do make that decision, you know who to hit up, because I have a ton. which I just also don't want my wife to be mad at me for having a huge stack of useless putters. Oops.
You should see Josh's useless stack of Lunas and Roaches and baseline challengers. He's got, I can see the basket right now. I can count. There's 5 in the basket right now that he'll never touch. He doesn't throw them. And I think there's like a bunch in the drawer. It's fine. Like I get it. And that's such a tough decision when you have such a bunch of putters that you've accumulated over time. Like I have a bunch of Fierces. I don't really like any other disc in Discraft's lineup. I like the Fierce. That is like a good disc for me. I know what it does. And I like that the throwing putter, I know, like not the throwing putter, the premium plastic version where I can throw it. There you go. I do like that they are very similar. So I get it. And also that's a big decision to go, I know I have this stack, but I know this is a better disc for me.
Yeah. And I do need to make a judgment as to, did I putt well with it this morning? Because it is like this new thing that I was really focused and dialed in on, or is it actually better? Like I could see the flight differences, but I need to play some rounds, and I have a lot of time between now and my next tournament, which I actually don't even know what that will be, to figure it out. So I think I'm going to get some more, do some work in the backyard on the basket, do some rounds where I just putt with only one, see how I score, do some other rounds with the other where I see how I score, and just make the decision from there. But it's a very nice putter. If it's kind of like your Fierces as far as glide, but has that little bit more bite, it's pretty close to a Challenger as far as flight characteristics.
Gotcha.
Glidey, but not like it's going to cruise forever.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Honestly, we're talking right now, and all I want to do is just go outside. Like I've got my standing desk, I've got it facing the window, and I'm looking outside. I'm like, ooh, what a pretty day. Like I really want to go play right now.
Can I go play outside?
Can I go outside, Mom?
But yeah, that's what I've been up to, is potentially destroying my entire putting confidence because I want to switch to a new shiny thing.
I love that. Love that for you. I love that. Big fan. Huge fan. All right, let's get into the nitty gritty.
Okay.
Portland Open. Let's talk about how wrong Hoffy was. I think we should start there.
So for nobody else can see our show notes, but under Portland Open, there's a note that says Discraft Battle, and there's a note underneath that says "Suck it, Hoffy," because
and that's because Hoffy told us that Discraft ain't winning anything. And let me tell you, Hoffy, Portland Open, Discraft, it was Corey Ellis, Aaron Gossage, and now Adam Hammies. Heck yeah. All fighting for it. Adam Hammis and Aaron Gossage going to a playoff. I love to see it.
Yeah.
Now's their time to shine.
Brody was up there.
Brody did well.
Ezra was up there too, I believe. Discraft did very well at this event.
For the boys, definitely.
For the boys for sure. And then on the FPO side, Kristen just went wire to wire. I don't think it was particularly close.
No, it wasn't. I watched a little bit of it. I was at the World Series all weekend for softball, and I'm not gonna pull up disc golf when I've got softball right in front of me, which is really nice.
Yeah.
But it wasn't close. But Sai Ananda just doing her thing. This is her season. I love seeing that. And then let's talk about Owen Scoggins and Juliana Korver in the top 4. On the female side, the FPO is really showing that you don't have to be the longest thrower to be in the top 5, top 10. You don't have to be an insanely good person. Like you can just be a person who gets their pars and gets their birdies when they can. And that is amazing to see, especially Owen Scoggins, who maxes out 280, 300. It's so awesome to see that you can be successful even if you are missing maybe an element of that game. Like I just love to see, and they're age protected ladies, which is great for the ladies side, because I know my mom was always like, oh, I'm too old, like I can't play. And I'm like, Mom, Owen Scoggins is one of the best in the world, and she's plays age protected. Juliana Korver is older than her and plays age protected. It's just, oh, I love it. They really are proving to everybody that this game is for everybody.
Yes. And even on the men's side, when we had Isaac Robinson on, he was talking about how he really maxes out at like 450 on a golf shot, not like trying to throw the big dumb flex that's not even available on a golf course.
Yeah.
Like he's not throwing those 550, 600 foot shots like some of these guys can. And he's consistently up there battling for wins. He won a major this year already.
Yeah.
Like if you're a good putter and you can hit lines, sometimes that's all you need.
All you need, 100%. Oh, let's talk about also Statmondo. I've been following Statmondo on Instagram. If you guys don't follow that, Mando.
It's like the mandatory Mando.
I'm gonna keep going with Mondo. I thought that was funnier. All right, okay. Statmondo. Nate Sexton's cash streak gone, done, no more. It was like over 5,000 days in a row. His cash streak, something
it's like
incredible.
200 something events, over $200,000 cashed. Pretty good streak that unfortunately came to an end. Like, Nate Sexton is an icon in our sport because of his play and because of his commentary on Jomez. And now that might be one of those things that we never, especially as the sport gets more and more and more competitive, we never see anyone get close to that. You have to be so consistent for so long.
Yeah. And now who has the longest streak, like withstanding one, is like Joel Freeman with 55 events, something like that. Like it's not even close.
Only 200 more to go.
Only 200 more. No big deal. So that was really cool to see. I like that we're getting more stats. I like the numbers. I'm always a numbers person.
Yeah. Kim Hatcher, happy to see Nate Sexton end his streak.
I was saying that the stats about it. Don't make me out to be that person. I just like to see the stats.
Boo!
I love me a fun fact. I love me a fun fact.
If you want discs that can get you a 250 event cast streak, you know where you go?
Discraft.com.
You know where you go to support local?
Where would I go to support local businesses?
The disc shop.
Oh, you're so right. You're so right.
The disc shop has everything disc golfer needs. And if you use our code MDGPOD, you get 10% off on all those things that you need.
I love discounts. I love sales. Makes it feel better.
Head over to the disc shop. Also, this week we'll be doing a giveaway of a DD1. Which I hear is quite nice, very flippy. Yeah, it is the new driver from Discmania. It's kind of Wraith or Grace-esque as far as numbers. So we all know how accurate flight numbers are, but that is kind of the targeted slot is a Wraith or a Grace. So if you want to try one out, if you love the DD1 already and want one for free, check out our Instagram for details when we post about it. I know someone who would be very excited to pick one of those up, but I don't think he's eligible for it. You know who that'd be?
Who would that be?
That would be our social media manager, Matt Hoffman. And boy, does he have a heater for us.
I'm ready. I'm excited. I am pumped.
As always, Hoffy's heaters are brought to you by Spikeheiser Dyes. This is where our social media manager, Matt Hoffman, gives his hot takes on things that nobody else is talking about. Maybe it's for a good reason.
Probably, definitely, honestly. Yep.
This week's Hoffy's heater is going to be kind of aligned with some conversation I've been having with Professor Disc Golf, and what he's seeing are what he considers bad baskets. Now, one of his favorite baskets is the DGA basket, and I have to agree that it is a pretty nice basket. As working on it 4 palms, I like the baskets out there. I'm not exactly sure what kind they are. I believe they are Innovamade, if I'm not mistaken, but they are pretty great. And I just have to see that out there on the course. I have seen some really good baskets, and I've seen some really bad baskets. One of the bad baskets I have to, no offense, shout out is Latitude 264. I don't understand how you could be such a good company for branding and being the best, probably one of the best distributors in Europe, and having such a great social media presence and having a bad impact with bad baskets. And so I wonder where the PDGA just hasn't stood in, taken a stance and said, this basket is the official basket of the PDGA, and has sat there and said, this is what we want to do. And I'm surprised they haven't taken that stance. It doesn't matter what name is on the basket. Whatever event is sponsoring the basket should be able to just put their name on it. But the fact that we do not have a consistency across the board with basket creation, basket use during official events like Silver Series and Masters and Worlds, I think it's a huge negative impact and allows some pros to feel like, is this week going to be my week because I don't putt on this basket? I don't practice on this basket. Some baskets favor the left side, some favor the right side. And I think we...
Done. Period. Okay. I don't know how I feel. And honestly, the first thing that comes to my brain when he's like, oh, like we like this kind of basket, I don't like this kind of basket. I don't think about that when I play. Like, I don't think about what basket I have. I don't like DGA. Maybe that's just an aesthetic thing. I don't like the nubs that it has.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have a top and has the nubs. Not a huge fan of that, but honestly, I just don't know. For comparable to softball, people are like, oh, it's a lefty pitcher or it's a righty pitcher, or all this kind of stuff. And honestly, I didn't even know which arm they threw off of until like after the game. And I was like, well, I hit well. It's fine. I kind of feel like it's the same aspect almost. I'm just going to go out and putt. I'm going to play. I'm going to hit center. Like, and the basket's going to do whatever the basket's going to do. So I did like how he mentioned about the PDGA coming out with their own basket, and that's being the basket for the events. That was interesting. I don't know, but that was interesting.
I don't know if I'd like the PDGA to do that. I agree that DGPT having consistent basket would be very helpful for like the different events and for the Pro Tour players, because then they're putting on the same basket over and over, because there are nuances to the different baskets. Like, some of them catch better right, some of them do catch better left. Some favor a soft putter versus someone who puts firm. I don't know. I think specific DGA baskets are very good. Like, I like the Mach X. The Mach 7s aren't my favorite. And I also think that a lot of the basket things can be just a mental block.
Definitely.
But I do agree with him, and I guess Josh, I don't like the Latitude 64 baskets. The chains are very, very slippery. So I've had some putts that are right of center, but that's where you're supposed to miss, that just slip right through. And I don't have the firmest of putts. So I think if your putter is cutting through the chains when flat, that's kind of an issue. So I don't particularly like Latitude baskets. I don't particularly like Prodigy baskets.
Oh gosh, yeah. I hate Prodigy. Let's go. Hold on. Sorry, not Prodigy as a whole, just the basket, that inner wall.
Pushes any sort of putt out.
Yeah. So I'm not a fan of that, but it's fine. Still the previous offer stands.
Yes. But at the same time, everybody is playing the same basket. Everybody plays the same basket throughout the entire event. It's not like one basket is being switched out in between groups or in between divisions or anything like that.
Very true. Very true.
The same target for everybody. So definitely get the point. It's definitely frustrating, but at the same time, you got to shut off that little voice in your head. You have to shut it
off. Yep.
That's like, oh, I don't like this basket. Because if you're putting like that for the entire event, you're not going to putt well, because you're not going to be putting confidently. You're going to be just putting, hoping that it sticks, or blaming the basket if you make a mistake and you need to fix your aim point or fix something mechanically. You're going to find a reason that it's not you, and then you're going to continue to miss putts. So I agree, certain baskets are better, certain baskets are worse, but ultimately you got to suck it up and play the baskets. But DGPT should definitely have a consistent basket.
I see both sides, and I like it a lot. I like that every course is different. The baskets are different. You have to change. I like that, but I also like the uniform. So I'm big fan of both. So
if the PDGA had like, this is the only basket, I do fear what that would do for the sport, because right now there are so many competitors that kind of drives the prices down for local clubs to be able to buy new baskets and that sort of thing. If there was one and only one that was PDGA approved, all the courses would have to go to it. Then all the prices on that one basket would rise because there'd be so much demand and there'd be no competitors. They could kind of gouge the disc golf market, unfortunately. But that was a solid point. That was a solid heater.
I definitely feel like someone could get heated over that topic.
Oh, I know people who get heated over that topic. So let us know what you think of Matt's heater. And if you want a disc that is an absolute heater, go check out Spikeheiser Dies. Brandon is creating amazing dies for everyone to enjoy, and you can check him out on Instagram at shdies_DG and see what he has to offer in his shop, or you can request something custom. Spikeheiser Dies, excellence by design.
He has been coming out some amazing looks. What?
Yes. He has some great stuff. I just got my shipment from the for the team, and he's taken some of my favorite discs and made them even favoriter because they're very pretty now.
Brandon's dies, magnificent. He's we've been talking about different discs to send and everything. I lost another force. Luckily, I have such a stack for my field work. I have such a big stack of forces. I have a big stack of Zeus's. Those are like my go-to discs for field work. I have a bunch of putters, a good amount of mids. I have a bunch of fairways, and then Zeus's and forces are like my main distance drivers anyways. So those are like, I think I have like seven forces and 6 Zeus's, just a good amount. So that way when I go to the field, they all fly the same. And then when I lose one, I just go and I pick one out and I just go bloop, put a new one in the bag.
Well, that gets to our main topic for today of fieldwork, but I'm very interested right off the top. Why a force for your go-to fieldwork driver? That's really overstable.
No, so with Discraft, the numbers say that it's very overstable. It's a 0.3. So in reality, that should be very, very overstable. But for me, it really flies stable. Like I'll throw it. Maybe the one I previously had was beat in a little bit, but for me, I throw force. It doesn't flip, maybe a tiny bit, but it will glide straight for the longest time. Won't turn, just dead straight, and then fades pretty good at the end. It's a really good disc to tell me if I'm hitting my angles because it's just stable. It's just middle of the row. It's not going to flip for me, but it's not like dumb beefy. So it's a really good disc for me for just like, am I getting the disc flat? Am I getting the disc flat? Okay, well, I want to work on Anheuser. Let me get that disc on the angle. Heiser, let's work on that. So it's a good distance driver disc to practice angles. Now, the Zeus for me is a little flippy. I can get that. I can get it to turn. So the Zeus is for me to work on those distance shots and like what angle I needed to put it on to get the most turn out of the disc and all of that. So that's a good disc for that. But I use that same idea for fairways. I have my passions, which are they turn a little bit, but they will pretty much go straight. That'll help me with those gaps that I need to hit, but I need to get the distance. And then I have an Undertaker. The Undertakers, which I have like 5 of them, that's my stable shot. If I'm going to throw the Undertaker out flat, it'll probably go straight, maybe a tiny flip, fade at the end. Same thing for the mids. I've got a ton of buzzes. So the buzz is going to go dead straight and then maybe fade a little bit at the end. If not, just dead straight. It'll tell you exactly what's happening. And then I have a bunch of buzz SS's that are my flippy mids. So I kind of like just play with stable and flippy, kind of with distance, fairways, and mids, and just run through that whenever I'm doing field work.
Gotcha. So when you're talking the stable ones, you're more looking for, because I'm asking these questions because I'm really bad about doing field work, like really, really bad.
Yeah.
I go out. I think I need to find a place that I can do field work that doesn't have a basket because I go out to a course to do my field work. Yeah, and then I just sit there like, oh, but the tee box, I'm standing next to the tee box. I'd like to just go play. And I don't stay disciplined with it. But your stable discs are more for your angle control checks.
Yes.
Interesting.
And when I say stable, maybe just neutral is a better word. I know we kind of all understand what stable means, but it's just neutral disc. Flat, it's going to go straight, maybe fade at the end. So it helps me with my angle control, because that's something I do struggle with, is finding the right angle.
Okay. How often are you doing field work? Like per week, per month? Do you have a set schedule? Should you have a set schedule?
I don't think you should. I think it should be a feeling, because some weeks are better than others. I will go do field work if I'm feeling like my mechanics are not together.
Okay. So like timing and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's really the only time I'll do field work, just because in an open field, that's really all you're practicing is just, or angle control, timing, that kind of stuff. If I'm struggling hitting gaps, I'm not going to an open field. That makes no sense. So I'll go find a hole on a course and just throw that hole over and over again for my field work type.
Okay. So this is more of a, hey, I want to get more power, or something's not feeling right.
So more situation. Something's not feeling right. I can throw 350 pretty consistently now, 375 if I really flex it. So for me, I'm not looking at distance anymore. That's just, I have it doom check. It's really just feeling. If I just don't feel it, I'm just going to go to a field.
Gotcha. Okay.
What about you? Do you do any field work? What do you do?
So when I attempt to go do field work, I tend to bring a lot of mids and putters. One, so I don't have to go very far to go get those things. Because I've tried the driver field work when I do like angle control and some more power work. But then like if you really get a hold of one, I'm walking 400, 450 to go get it. And then either throwing it back in a completely different wind direction and not learning a ton, or I'm just walking back. So like 800, 900 feet just to throw a disc. So I've started going to throwing a bunch of mids that are stable, like you're saying, for angle control checks. And if they're nose up, they fly very, very differently from if they're thrown nose down and properly. So I think that is why I've started going to the mid ranges and the putters.
Mids and putters are great for field work, though. They really are. I just know for me, I throw mids and putters really good. That's not my problem. My issue is that I mess up when we start adding distance to it. So that's why I throw drivers for field work.
Interesting. I just picture it as a disc. So I don't think about the differences in the disc when I'm throwing. I just think this one's flippy, so more hyzer. This one's overstable, so more anhyzer and all that. But maybe that's just a difference in our approach to the game.
Yeah, I'd agree to that. Yep.
But I also do a lot of standstill work. I've been working with Josh, Professor Disc Golf, and that was one of his big tips, because I would struggle to break 350 probably a year ago. And I wanted to be competitive in the advanced field. That was one of the things I learned very quickly in advanced, was I was no longer one of the longer throwers, and I could just depend on pure accuracy. Like you have to have to be a competitive MA1 player, at least in our area, around 400-foot distance.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's pretty consistent, 400-foot distance. So I started working with him there and learning how to trust that I can put something online under a lot of power, because especially with my golf background, one of those smooth is fast, smooth is good, smooth is controlled.
Smooth is fast, fast is far.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah. And when I got over to disc golf, even though it's a lot more of a baseball explosiveness type movement, I was still so caught up in my mechanics, because that's what's drilled into your head in ball golf, that I wasn't throwing it hard. Like everything looked, Josh likes to say that I throw pretty sometimes. Like everything looks really good, but
He
doesn't
does
go
say
anywhere.
that. He's like, it's very pretty.
It doesn't go anywhere because I'm not attacking. I'm not trying to hit it hard and just see where it ends up. Because that is something that is really, really nice about disc golf is it's not like ball golf where the putting is really, really difficult in comparison. Like you can make 60, 70 foot putts in disc golf. You can get out of some really, really bad spots. Whereas in ball golf, you really can't get out of, or you can, but it's very, very difficult to get out of bad spots. And so it's just a mentality shift. And it's funny because that mentality shift has actually helped my ball golf game when I go out there because I'm a little bit more aggressive. So sometimes I forget which type of golf I'm playing and I won't switch or at least find the midpoint between the two. So that's been entertaining for me lately. But do you practice forehands a lot?
Okay, I was just about to say that. For my field work, although most of my field work is really backhand practice, I always, when I walk back, like I go pick up everything, I forehand everything back, no matter what it is. So a fierce, a buzz SS, a buzz, everything gets forehanded back. So that way I can work on just spinning the disc. Because if you just spin the disc, it's not going to just like absolutely burn into the ground. If you can just spin it and get it to glide, it will go. So that's what I do going back. And that really helps me have backhand and forehand practice.
Yeah, that was one of my first rounds with Josh probably 2 years ago. He saw me forehanding a fierce for some approach shots, and he was completely mind blown because I have the ultimate frisbee, just zip it, put some spin on it, and let the disc do the work. And that's a really good way to learn how to throw forehands, is to learn how to throw very, very flippy, very, very glidey stuff.
Yes. People think like they just need a Firebird or I guess now a Venom or a Raptor, those beefy overstable discs. That's what you need if you throw forehand. Yes and no, like it's not a bad place to start, but honestly, flippy is where it's at. If you can throw flippy discs on forehands, you are going to be so set. And we actually know a guy, his name's Jake. He throws 135 gram G-Star Mamba on forehand, and he can throw about 400 feet.
That's incredible.
I'm assuming so dumb.
Like saw it off super hyzered.
No.
Oh, he just zips it.
He just zips it. Like, of course, he puts some hyzer on it.
Right.
But it is so pretty. And I've learned to just spin the disc from Josh. So Professor Disc Golf. And I think I'm 107% confident that's his drill for the month, is all about forehands and how to get that spin on the disc and how to just get less shoulder involved, I guess you could say. So.
Okay. Well, I think everybody needs to go check that out because we could all use a little work on our forehands. Even if you're a forehand dominant player, you could always be better.
So 100%. Yeah.
Send us your videos of you doing the drill of the month, and you'll get entered for extra giveaway spots for this month's giveaways. So go check them out at Professor_Disc Golf on Instagram.
It'll also be on our Instagram, the Mediocre podcast. We'll collab with him so that way you guys can see it, check it out. He's got some really great tricks and tips on just disc golf general, but forehands. He's a 60-40 player, he says. He's a 60% forehand, 40% backhand because his baseball background just puts him up on another level. I'm the opposite. I'm a 60 backhand, forehand, 40 forehand. So he's got a lot to tell about it. And I think this is a great drill. So if you go check it out, it definitely will help you out.
Absolutely. Well, that wraps it up for today. You could find Kim on Instagram at Kim the Great and me at EvanAmsisDG. Remember to follow the pod on Instagram at Mediocre Disc Golf Pod and on Twitter at Mediocre DG Pod. If you want to support us, buy our shirts on mythicdiscgolf.com and listen to us every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. If you enjoyed the show, leave us 5 stars in a review, and if you didn't, still give us 5 stars and tell us why. we know we aren't perfect because we are mediocre. Have a good night.
Good night.